Yes, you've got John McMullen and Jody McDonald. That means Mac and Mac here on Birds 365. It is a football Friday, and it's an actual football Friday because we're prepping for an Eagles game. Not till Monday night, but it will get here, and it will be a rematch of last year's Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. And we've got you for the next 2 hours to talk about the Birds and where they sit heading into the second half of the season. They played 9 of their 17 games, so that's pretty much the second half. Both John and I will bemoan the fact that there are an odd number of games played.
16, man. I need 16 games, Joe.
We're 18. It just needs to be an even number. You can't be on an odd number there, Roger Goodell.
I don't want to kill everybody. The NFL wants to do that, but so I'll go back to 16. But we all know much results, so we're going to 18 eventually.
You are a much nicer guy. I'm a realist. It's going to 18. It's not going back.
I know it's going to 18.
It's only a matter of time. All right. And it's only a matter of time before the Eagles and the Chiefs take the field. Appreciate those of you streaming in. Yeah, we were a minute late because yours truly got caught up doing preparation for the show. Oh, shoot. They rang, Sander rang the phone. Jody, you good? Yeah, I'm good. I just haven't hit the button yet. My bad. I apologize for that. And glad to know, don't usually check the streaming guys this early in the show, but got to appreciate Mid-Supply who checks in and says, I got sent home from work today so I can watch Birds 365.
Why'd you get sent home from work? That's not a good sign.
I don't know if it is or it isn't Mid-Supply, but thank you for not only streaming in, but telling us you're here for the whole show because you got sent home from work. Hopefully it's just a Friday thing and you'll be good to go Monday to get ready to talk about the Eagles and the Chiefs. When it seems, Johnny Mac, like the Eagles are going to have a healthy quarterback out there on the field. Jalen Hurts returned to practice with no accoutrement on his injured knee or was injured knee, hopefully was injured knee. And at least the video I saw, he was moving around pretty good there on the field for the portion of practice you were able to watch. How'd Jalen Hurts look?
Yeah, sans sleep. I think that's the most important part. I pretend like we can tell the difference between, but we get to see practice very little of value, to be honest. So, we're not going to know until kickoff. But the fact that he's not wearing the sleeve is got to be taken as a positive. So, maybe he was just trying it out. Maybe it'll be back on today. Who knows? But clearly, he had mentioned before the bye that selfishly this came at a perfect time for him. It seems to have come at a perfect time because, love to see that threat in the running game back into the Eagles offense. I think that makes them much more dangerous and much more difficult to deal with. And I think, and we're going to talk about it because we're going to have Paul Domowitch on. He does a stat pack for JAKIBSports.com. He started with the running game, so it's a perfect week to talk about it. Hadn't been good since Jalen's knee injury, and we can debate the reasons why. You and I are on the same page. Damo's a little bit different, and we'll talk about it. But and I think it's not about him. I got the question on another show last night, over under 60 yards. It's not about the yards for me. It's about the threat of the opposing defense opening up things for DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell.
You see the threat. I buy into that with Jalen Hurts and his running game. I believe in the threat. There's the production and then there's the threat. Yeah, I don't believe that about Quez Watkins, but I do with Jalen Hurts that the threat is actually there and it makes the other team play differently. So you and I do see that the same. It'd be fun to talk to Dom about it. He sees it a little bit differently. So getting Jalen back and looking good, and you're right, we won't really know till they snap the ball on Monday as to how much he is more freely playing in the backfield. But we did get actual good news. Bradley Roby back out on the field, will be in the lineup for the Eagles, probably starting. The coach wouldn't commit to that yesterday, which I thought was funny.
Wouldn't commit to him playing. What do you get starting? He wouldn't even commit to him playing. That's Nick. He's playing. He's starting. Feel very, very comfortable in that. He was out there taking the first team reps and individual work in the slot. And yeah, it's going to be Bradley Roby, and that's a good thing for the Eagles.
It is a good thing because the guys who have been manning it the last couple of weeks have been not good, abused, pick and choose whatever descriptive adjective you want to use. They need an upgrade there, and Bradley Roby will be an upgrade. How big an upgrade? We'll find out. He's played in 2 games. He's played better than what they've had out there when he hasn't played, but it's been weeks. He came off the scrap heap. He didn't have a preseason. Is he going to go in there and just play shutdown slot corner? That I don't know. And I think some people are suggesting that the problem has been solved. The problem has been lessened. Has it been solved? Yeah.
No. I mean, they picked the guy off the street in season. I mean, there's Howie's created that market, and it exists. I forgot there was another player talking about waiting for the perfect situation. I forget who it was, but I just saw it this week. I'll try to remember. But Linval Joseph's back in Buffalo, probably hasn't made the right decision this time for Linval because Buffalo's not going in the right direction. But and that's the reason I do think Bradley could have had a job if he wanted one in camp and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, shutdown slot corners aren't on the market long. So, but is it going to be better? Of course it's going to be better. He knows how to play the position right away. That's better. They've been throwing out guys, and give a hat tip to Sidney Brown and Eli Ricks. Never played the position before, had to be thrown into the fire. Persevered. They won games. It was ugly at times, but that's the best you can hope for when you're as deep down on the depth chart as the Eagles were at that position.
And 2 other guys who are going to have to play well in this game coming up on Monday, at least I think that's the way the coverage is going to go oftentimes, are the 2 Eagle safeties. And Reed Blankenship has had a very good year as a first-year starting cornerback for the Eagles. We know his backstory, undrafted free agent, minimal signing bonus. We know how far he's come in pretty much a short period of time. He's had a couple of mediocre games. He's had some very good games, but he's going to have a very good game because he's going to draw a lot of responsibilities on Travis Kelce on Saturday, if not Kevin Byard. And Byard, we all praise Howie Roseman when he went out and acquired him, former Pro Bowl level safety who's getting up there in years, but we think he's still got enough left in the tank. He's had 2 okay games since he's coming here. John, how would you describe the 2 games that Byard has had since putting on the green?
Yeah, okay, average. It wasn't great, but again, midseason, I think it'll get better as he learns the defense, he learns and gets that chemistry. Remember, now you have 4 really veteran guys in the secondary with Slay, Bradbury, Roby, and Byard, and then you have Reed Blankenship, the second-year player's got a really high football IQ. So I think the communication part of it's going to really get better in the second half of the season. And interesting, Byard's had a lot of success against Travis Kelce over the years. Now, again, is he the same player he was when he was an all-pro? Probably not. And Kelce's still going at a high level. But he was talking yesterday, and he gave some interesting sort of insight because you're always saying, how is Travis Kelce always open?
Yeah.
And Byard was saying, and I'm trying to pull it up. He said, I won't say I know how he runs his routes or understands because he doesn't really run routes based on X's and O's or lines on a piece of paper. He and Patrick Mahomes have a great rapport. He's going to be a safety valve. He's going to look for him in zone, and you don't want to leave a lot of space. So he tries to be more aggressive with him. I know he's going to run double routes. Now, here's the key part. The first route isn't going to be the one that beats you. It's when Mahomes starts scrambling. He does the scramble drill. He gets open. He's really good with the ball in his hands, blah, blah, blah. So, those 2, we talk about chemistry all the time. Those 2 are like in sync. And so he knows what Patrick's thinking, Kelsey, vice versa. And they kind of beat you that way, which I think upsets a lot of people, because when you say, well, it's not really schemed, but that's what Patrick Mahomes does. And he was talking about, I say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. And Kevin used that same word when he was talking about Mahomes. He's relentless. The play isn't over until the play is over. And it might be, you might have him 3rd and 13, and it's just backbreaking. We see it all the time if you're an Eagles fan, where the Eagles look bad play, then bang, Jalen just makes a play. And that's the exact word I use. It's freaking relentless on the defense. Patrick Mahomes has been doing that in Kansas City for even longer, and he's relentless. The play is never over. Direct quote from Kevin Byard. That's the main thing. So, that's how difficult he is to play. Little insight. Very smart player, Kevin Byard. So he knows what he's talking about.
And, oh, by the way, John, I've looked up a bunch of Kelsey, Mahomes to Kelsey passes, touchdowns, and the like, and never did they put in parentheses on schedule or off schedule. They never denote that. So anyone who said, oh, it wasn't part of the scheme. Yeah, it is. That's part of the scheme. The offensive coordinator knows that if Jalen gets forced from the pocket, Mahomes gets forced from the pocket, and he's got to make something up on the fly. Yeah, those two guys are going to be able to do it. Doesn't make it any less of a play or less of an accomplishment.
No, but in the Super Bowl, I'm not saying it doesn't make any difference. I'm saying people like to say, well, the Eagles got out coached in the Super Bowl. Andy out schemed them. A lot of times, and again, I bring up the Sky Moore touchdown because NFL Films got the mic. They were mic'd up, and they lined up wrong. They ran the wrong play. But Patrick Mahomes improvised in the moment, and it looked brilliant. And that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Whether it was scheme, whether it was luck, whatever it wasn't
luck. Wasn't luck. It was a really good quarterback making the most of a bad situation is what it was.
And that's who the Eagles will be facing this week, which I was kind of intrigued yesterday. I saw the Sirianni stuff and a couple of players' quotes afterwards. Jordan Mailata with the confetti is falling on my head is about the only guy who's said that, yeah, this game is more than just game number 11 of the 2023 season, that this is something that, yeah, he will still have the taste in his mouth when he goes out there on the field. Everybody else is trying to downplay it, at least in part. And I get it that you don't want to be obsessed with it, that you don't want to just lose your usual focus for a regular season game. You need to try and have a balance. But I think the attempt to downplay the game and not think it is a more than just a regular season game because it's Kansas City again, I think is almost laughable. And some guys are trying to do that. And the fact that they're going to view the videotape the same as they do any other going back and checking the last time we played them type team, it's the Super Bowl video. Come on, we know it's more than that. And oh, by the way, they didn't go back and review the tape afterwards. Anytime you have a game during the regular season, you go back and see what you did the week before. They didn't do that last year. The season was over. Everybody scattered to the winds, unfortunately, after the Eagles lost. So I'm not buying into the whole it's just another game thing. Are you?
I'm not. No, not completely. I think there's human nature, but I asked Jordan about that quote because he said it on the radio, and he more clearly defined. He said it's simple. When I said when I said what I said about it being personal, yeah, it's personal to me. I know I'm not going to get back that championship. I'm not going to get rings back, but it's just me. I don't want to go out there and lose. I hate losing. It's simple. I don't like losing, and that's all it was. Just want to get out there. It's one game. It's one of 17. And it's the next game. So, Yeah, I mean, they're competitive. They don't like losing. That's the thing. And that's sort of with Jalen Hurts, the same mentality. Like, he doesn't like losing. It doesn't matter who.
Right.
Could be playing pickup basketball in the NovaCare Complex auditorium. You don't want to lose. Jordan Mailata doesn't want to lose, and they lost. So from that perspective, yeah, it's very competitive. Um, but again, I go back to before the bye. Like Nick said the same stuff, and he always says the same stuff, and he said it again yesterday. It's 1 of 17. It's, you got to go 1-0 this week. Well, after the game, he was way more fired up than he usually is for beating the Cowboys. But in the regular season, I said it yesterday, Dallas is a bigger game than Kansas City in the regular season. It just is. For where the Eagles want to go, number 1 seed, first you got to win the NFC East, then you got to get the number 1 seed. That's a bigger game. So from that perspective, it's a little bit different, but they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose any game. They don't want to lose to Buffalo. They don't want to lose to San Francisco. They don't want to lose to the Jets, and they lost to the Jets. But
Right. But let me ask you about Sirianni, because you said this last week, and I certainly understood and I agree with you. This is a little more to him, Andy Reid, than just any other coach on the coaching staff. He can deny it. He can say it's just 1 of 17 all he wants. He's 0-2 against Andy Reid. And I don't think Nick Sirianni Sirianni has a good grasp on how he's looked at across the league nationally. He's got his own Philadelphia perceptions with guys like you who covered the team day in, day out, Eagle Nation, all the fans. But he also has a grasp on the way that he's looked at nationally. And you can look it up. He's 0-2 against Andy Reid. And I don't think the coach likes that. So I don't buy
no,
it.
he does. And I asked Zach about that because I get that feeling with Nick all the time. But and Zach Berman, I'm talking about, he he brings up, because he's the same way with when there's guys like McDaniel earlier this season. Like, there was something extra.
Yeah.
Because McDaniel was getting all the flowers. So, like, Andy's a really good coach. Mike McDaniel's doing a great job early in his coaching career. But, he's the flavor of the month, blah, blah, blah. And Nick's like, what the hell? Look at my record. So, and Zach said it was a little bit more with the McDaniels and the McVays of the world. But yeah, he doesn't like losing. And he's lost. Now, he wasn't supposed to beat Andy the first time. The second, look, they that organization thinks they blew the Super Bowl. I mean, they do. They do. Howie was inconsolent. How do we lose to this freaking team? Essentially, they were firm belief that they shot themselves in the foot in the last Super Bowl. You can argue anything else, but that's their belief. So from that perspective, they want to prove something. No doubt about it.
And it will happen on Monday night when these two teams meet for the first time since, yes, the red confetti fell on the field in last year's Super Bowl. He's McMullen. I'm McDonald. I see Paul Domwich is ready to rock and roll with us. He's in the green room. We'll punch up our buddy from the 33rd team and the JAKIBSports.com football package. We'll talk Eagles and Chiefs with Paul Domwich next here on Birds 365.